Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 130 of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. I'm Tom Hunyadi. You may know me from my other show, Talk More Talk. And I am joined by my buddy, my backwards traveler, Andy Nichols. And he's a part of another show called
Anything but the Beatles.
There you go. Andy, what's going on, my friend?
Living the dream. Hanging in there, brother. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks, man. Had a nice rest and get a little recharge this morning. So ready to go, ready to record another show. And we got an interesting one tonight. We'll get to that in a second. But other than that, Andy, a few things have been dropping, coming out recently, and we'll start with a Ram on. Apparently, I got it earlier this week, and I'm starting to see other people starting to get it in the mail. You're still waiting on your copy, unfortunately, but it's cool to finally have this in my
Now
hands.
that came from Cherry Red, right? Now
This
it's
is from
funny.
Cherry Red
I
Records.
ordered
Yeah.
something from Cherry Red at the same time I ordered Ramon. I ordered a copy of John Anderson's animation, which is
Okay.
Cherry Red also did this. I ordered them. I ordered them both at the same time.
Wow.
And this one came first, which
is that is that a reissue?
it's actually a funny story with this. They never actually ever were able to. It was never actually ever issued on CD ever
Okay.
because they couldn't
Really?
find the master tapes. No,
Oh, wow.
there was like one pressing of it done 20 years ago on a vinyl, but it sounded bad. But they found the tapes, and Cherry Red finally put it out on CD.
Oh, that's great.
So it's really fantastic. I just thought, okay, I saw Cherry Red. I'm like, here comes Ramon. It's not Ramon. It was actually John Anderson's animation CD, but
Uh,
their Cherry Red's awesome. But Timmy Shawn told us that there were issues. So
yeah, there was a few issues, and then he also told us that there could be a vinyl release for this as well. So everybody that's a fan of the show, we interviewed Denny Sywell and Fernando Perdomo about this. So be on the lookout for this. If you haven't heard it, give it a shot because Andy and I were really impressed by that. So another thing that came out too was the Mach Show, the Beatles in Hamburg book from the guys from A is for Apple, the AppCore label, and unfortunately you're still waiting for your copy
yeah,
on that. So
great book though. Tom showed us. Awesome.
yeah. So once Andy gets that, we'll start going through the book, and then we'll get Thorsten, the author, on the show on there, and we'll see if some of the stories that we've heard in the past are actually true, or are they legend? So we'll find out, because it's supposed to be the premier book on the Beatles in Hamburg. So again, the first the first printing is sold out. So they're on the second printing already. So check that out. So go to appcore.com if you're ever interested in learning about the Beatles in Hamburg, more in detail than what we know from the Beatles anthology, and stuff like that. So so check that out. But other than that, I've got the Ram on the half speed. I'm sorry, the Ram half speedmaster.
Half speed, which is tremendous. Yeah.
Got that. You had a chance to listen to that. I'll listen to that tomorrow, hopefully, which we're recording on the 23rd. So hopefully I'll get that tomorrow. But we got some good news too. Got some really good news. I mean, after a year and a half, or I'm probably a year of waiting, we
Yeah.
finally get the Get Back film in theaters. It's going to be released on August 27th. Now, we don't know if it's also going to be released on Disney Plus at the same time, but as of right now, it's just the release date is August 27th. So as soon as
in theaters, right?
in theaters. So as soon as I'm sure we'll all get an email, or there'll be a website where you can go and you can find what theaters they're going to be played in. As soon as I see that list, I will be buying my tickets and going, and and as we've said in the past, Michael Lindsay Hogg has agreed to come on the
Oh
show
man,
and talk about. I'm sure this version and his film as well. So be on the lookout
that'll
for
be a
that.
tremendous score.
Oh,
So
I can't wait. Yeah,
that'd
I
be
cannot
great.
wait. Yeah. Also in the news, the McCartney Rick Rubin docu series has been there's a release date has been announced for that, and it's going to be called McCartney 321, and it will premiere on July 16th on Hulu. Now, the 6 episode series will find Macca talking over the entirety of his career with Rick Rubin, and you saw during that trailer, you saw him playing around with the board,
Yeah, yeah.
and so let me ask you this: what do you think of the chances that we're going to hear the yesterday story?
Oh, greater than 90%.
I really hope not. I mean, that's such a well played
He's like a robot. He's a
story,
robot
you
at this
know.
point. I mean,
Right.
that trailer that we saw, when now where it was 6 months ago, 8 months
Yeah.
ago, really looked promising. It looked like it was
Hmm.
going to be like a little more in depth look at some of the songs and how they were made,
Well, you would hope so.
and into his solo career. You would think. So, I mean, God knows we don't need to hear that again. We really
Right.
don't.
Right.
I mean,
So
Christ, my 3-year-old nephew can recite the yesterday story.
so we don't know if all 6 episodes are going to drop at the same
Yeah,
time
are they going to do it like a
or
traditional,
a
like
traditional weekly show.
I would think since it's going to be a Hulu only release, they're going to just drop it and it's going to be out. But then
Okay.
there are some shows on Amazon and Netflix and stuff that
Right. There's
Hulu
still weekly,
they
traditional
will
weekly.
be weekly drops. Which
Right.
I mean, either way, it's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. I kind of get nervous about these kind of things because it's going to be so Beatle heavy that you know the last 50 years of his solo career is and Wings career is just going to get like 25%
Well,
of
because
the bulk of it.
we're at the point now. Okay, there's 10 years of a Beatle career.
Right.
Okay, there's been 50 of his own,
Right. Right.
and these things that are coming out are like it's the weight is like it's still not proportioned.
No, it's not at all. Not at all.
It really isn't.
And that's why when we get that lyrics book, later this year as well. I mean,
That's another bet. That's
how
another
much
bet we have.
how much of that is going to be Beatles? How much of that is going to be solo
Although you're
stuff?
much more optimistic than I am with that.
Yeah,
You think it'll be more, and I
I
don't
do.
see it.
Yeah,
I don't see
yeah.
it.
Okay. All right. Well, on today's show, we're gonna do this, a fun little thing, which was on the Ultimate Classic Rock Facebook page.
Yeah.
If you're on Facebook, I'm sure they've got probably over 1 million followers on that Facebook page, and I believe it was May 2nd. They did this thing called Last Great, Last Good, First Bad, and it was about Paul McCartney's solo career. So I
Yeah.
thought,
Good
okay,
article. Good article.
yeah, it was a good read, interesting. So I thought, we add our 2 cents to it, and we'll start with Last Great, which is what they started with. And I want to ask you, I mean, what makes a great album? What makes a great McCartney album? You think, Andy?
I think everything from obviously number one, most importantly, the music.
Right.
Okay. The mood of the album, maybe, and the overall package of it, like as a concept. Is that
Mhm.
artwork or design, or is it, or is it just for some people the music? I like to think artwork kind of sets the mood for an album sometimes.
Mm.
So depending on what album it is, or the feel of it, or the theme, I think those things kind of add up to making a great album. Obviously, it's always about the music first and foremost. I mean,
Right.
you can have a crappy cover, but the music can still be great. But I think generally in those terms, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think a little of the same lines. However, artwork doesn't necessarily.
it helps. I
It
think.
helps. I mean, the imagery, it does help, but it's not the deal breaker. In my opinion, I mean, I think he's had some crappy album covers, but the albums themselves have been, really good. Memory Almost Full,
The Chair, which
Yeah,
Ethan Alexander did such a good
right.
job of
Oh yes,
representing us
thank
on
you,
there.
Ethan.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, again, it does. Yeah, it could be crappy artwork, but the music's good too.
Is if an album is great, is it a masterpiece?
If the album is great, is it a masterpiece? I would like to generally lean yes,
Okay, yeah,
because well,
I think so
this you've
too.
got great, like great and good, right? So album
Right,
could just be good.
right,
You're gonna put things in great. That's like special. That's like rarefied air, right?
right.
So
So is great in the same category as masterpiece then?
I would say yes. You
I mean I can
or is
I don't know if
masterpiece
there's like
like
the if there's like good, there's great, and then there's
or listen,
masterpiece.
as Paul once
You know,
said, right? There are seven
right.
levels, right?
7 levels, right?
And once upon a time, if those of you that know that story,
Oh, yeah, poor Mel. Oh man, the stuff he had to have gone through.
oh my God bless him. Right. I ran around Mal's back and said there are seven
Right,
levels. Yeah.
right. Anyways, so all right, so I'm fine with putting like great around the masterpiece type thing. And I do think if you're gonna consider something a masterpiece, I think like you has mentioned, like the cover, the whole scope of the album, the packaging. I think that all goes in with that as well.
Mhm.
You think of stuff like maybe The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, all of that stuff is just
Because
you
it
know
lends itself to the whole
it
thing.
all blends itself. Correct.
It's a total
It's
package,
the
right?
total package. Yeah. So I mean, so maybe if masterpiece isn't the perfect word for this right now, but we're
Or
just gonna say
great. That's
last great.
great.
So Andy, we'll start with you on this one. I'll start off the next one. But for you, what is the last great McCartney record?
All right, let me just pull it off the shelf here and pull a Tom Hunyadi. I'm gonna slide it across the screen here.
Mm,
Yoing.
yeah.
Yoing. Chaos and creation in the
And
backyard.
hopefully this will and we don't I don't know what he's gonna pick. He doesn't know what
No,
I'm gonna pick.
we don't know. But
Hopefully we don't our picks won't all be the same.
we won't try to bore you people to tears.
Yeah, exactly.
Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, I think, is the last great Paul McCartney album.
Mm,
In that Flaming Pie, Band on the Run, Tug of War, Ram
right.
mold, I would put those albums up with this one that I just mentioned. I would do that.
Okay.
And I think that this is this for, and we ranked this a few weeks ago. Um, it's a darker album. Um, some wonderful songs on here, different songs, different
Yes.
styles, Riding to Vanity Fair. Okay, some great ballads, some great acoustic work in here. Um, so for me, it's just a classic, um, you know, start to finish McCartney album, and it's on that level for me.
Mm. Cool. Well, I would have liked to have said Memory Almost Full, but there's a few things. I think that the album has a few issues with it, but I do agree with you that Chaos and Creation is his last great record, and for all the things that you said, but also for the fact that he was challenged. Nigel, pretty much,
Right.
was like, listen, that sucks. That's not your best work. So he made him work, made him put forth an effort. Lyrically, this is a phenomenally, from top to bottom, this is a phenomenal record. Musically, I think from top to bottom, it's a it's a near perfect record. And every song from top to bottom, that's what I really consider a great album, is whether or not that I like to love every song on the album.
And
And I like,
you can't do that with Memory Almost Full.
no, and I like to love every song
Yeah.
on Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. So package is cool. I mean the picture is cool. I think it might have worked on a different album, but I mean I don't know if it's the best album or the best cover for this particular album for what's in it,
Yeah, maybe
you
not.
know, but yeah, I mean, every song is a winner. I mean, there's literally 6 songs on here that I love to death. That I would not want to ever, not be able to listen to. This never happened before. Fine Line, How Kind of You, Jenny Wren, Friends That Go, Too Much Rain. Riding the Vanity Fair, I think is his best song of this. This since
You
2000.
right, which you
Yeah,
had ranked pretty high, I believe, on that was
right,
ranked. Yeah,
right. So, and then, Promise to You Girl, I like a lot, which, is, again, a good, starts off one way and then it just goes into a completely different direction. So yeah, I mean, every song on here I like to love, and
and that was
everything.
also chosen by one of the people in the article as
Right.
well as the last
Yeah,
grade.
I think a couple of them, or maybe all of them, end up choosing
Chaos.
Chaos and Creation on that one. And I think that was the only one that everybody agreed on, if I remember correctly. If
Because you'll
not, then
notice, really, it was the last time he was really in that Paul voice too. Before, because by Memory Almost Full, it
it's full.
really
You can
got
start. Yeah,
you
I
could
mean,
you,
consistently. I mean, you could tell bits and pieces, I think, on Driving Rain, but then come, Memory Almost Full, I think you can really start telling the effects of age in his
you,
voice.
I think you can. And but Chaos is the last
Right.
time you really hear it before it really starts to change.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because even like the falsetto in his voice for Jenny Wren is really strong. You know what I mean? The softness of, How Kind of You is
Uh huh.
good. Fine Line, his like piano rocking kind of voice, I mean, is really strong.
Yep.
So, and even like the ballads, This Never Happened Before. Just really strong, vocals on that.
Yeah. So I would like I probably a lot of people out there probably feel Chaos is up there as well.
Right.
I mean it is, but if we're doing this kind of we're playing this game of no, and I get it. Everybody wants to just throw heap praise on all the recent stuff, but again, Chaos is now 15 years old,
Can you believe that? Wow.
which is scary. But yeah, I think it's firmly. I think it's we have it as the last grade for you and I for both for both the same reasons.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so moving on, let's go to
Yeah,
Last Good. Yeah.
you go with let's less good. What do
Now,
you got?
now, Last Good. I mean, a good record to me is, you like most of the album. You know what I mean? Or you enjoy most of the album, and lyrically, musically, production wise. I mean, it works for you. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, McCartney 3 is a good album. I even think it's better than good, but because of the fact of how the wording is, you know what I mean? This is a really good record, and I'm still enjoying it to this day. I still think every song is still, good.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead,
If
yeah.
the album was not called McCartney 3, would you like it as much?
Yeah, because it's like we talked about, it comes down to the songs.
Okay.
Titles don't mean anything really. It's the songs that
True.
matter.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. So therefore for me, McCartney 3 is a really good record. And the Long Tail Winter Bird is really good. I love Finding My Way, Pretty Boys, Women and Wives, Lavatory Lil. All good songs. I mean, even the songs that some people may have problems with, with the deep feeling. There's stuff in there to enjoy.
There is.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's just not a throwaway track. I mean,
No.
you might not like bits and pieces of it, but there might be bits and pieces in there that you do enjoy. So therefore, I think that makes it a good track. But yeah, I mean, then we get that, When Winter Comes, that we probably, which was a big shocker,
Right.
to have it on this album. And I think that helped elevate the album, to really good status as well. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but however, I still firmly believe that this is going to be, I mean, if he keeps releasing albums, I think this will, and if you were to do this 10 years from now and he's still releasing albums, this could be considered his last great album. Because
If he's still releasing albums 10 years from now, I mean, come on.
You never know, man.
No, you
You
never
never
know.
know.
I would not put it past him.
I would not put it past them either. I would
But
not put it past them. But I truly believe McCartney 3 is a good record, and it is
so
his
it's
last.
in that good. It's in that good ranking for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right. Um, last good McCartney record for me.
Right,
Okay, right before that one,
right.
Egypt Station.
And I'm with you. But see, you got that. That's the what? That's not the Travelers. That's the
Explorers,
Explorers. Right,
Explorers edition. Three.
right. But you're talking about the regular main album.
The regular
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah.
the regular Egypt Station. Not all these bonus tracks.
Right,
Yeah, that one for me. I've since the McCartney 3 fever pitch kind of went away. Everybody kind of threw all the praise on that and forgot about this
right,
little gem that came out in 2018. And
right.
I still like it. I like it better than McCartney 3. I do.
That's fine. Yeah.
Um, again, this has the kind of concept appeal to it with the opening station and the closing station. So you've got that rough, loose concept album feel with this. Some tracks are clearly better than others, like Despite Repeated Warnings, which I don't really like, which you'll see, which on actually you'll have already seen that because we're ranking it. We'll have already ranked it.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
but I don't know. I think is one of the best songs he's written over the last 20 years.
Mm.
That's we can actually do that too. Like the top, the best songs out of the last 20 years. That's something we should do.
Oh, that's the we can do that. Absolutely.
We should do that. So stuff like again, Happy with You. I know Tom does not like People Want Peace, but Who Cares for You, Confidant, Dominoes. These are all great.
Domino's is fantastic. Absolutely.
Dominoes is a fantastic song. Even the jauntiness of Come On to Me, which I wasn't really thrilled about, but I can still look back at it now and say, okay,
Right.
that's a good little rocker. Do It Now, I think is great. So I love everything about Egypt Station. And it's again, to go back further, to go last good. Well, I mean, obviously I like Chaos better. So, but this clearly marks that I wouldn't, at the time, would I have put this on Chaos rank? I don't think I said, oh, this is as good as Chaos when it came out. So
Right.
for me, it's good. So
Right.
it checks that box as being good. I don't think I would have gone back further. I mean,
Right.
New could have fit that bill. Memory of Soul could have hit that,
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you know, it
But
would
but we've been really spoiled with all of these records being good to great.
correct. Now that's how you and I feel, two super
Right.
McCartney freaks. I mean, people watching this or not into it are going to say that album sucked. I think
Right. There's the people out there that'll say his last great album was probably be Flaming Pie.
and I know plenty of people that think his last good album was like Tug of War.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
or a Wings album. So
Right.
there are plenty of people in this world, sadly, that won't even acknowledge anything he's done past 1980, which is just
Right.
ridiculous. Which is
It's just
ridiculous.
damn shame. Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. So, of course, if you're watching this, I think anybody would have thought that Tom and I wouldn't have had to go back too far to pick an album that would have been the last good one, So
Right.
I'm not too surprised by your pick. You're probably not surprised by mine.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, I truly love Egypt Station as well. It's just that, like two tracks, People Want Peace and Despite Repeated Warnings, I've just never warmed to. So
Right,
therefore, for me it just lowers as good as those other songs are.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Those two songs kind of,
They drag it down a little
they,
bit.
they just drag it down a little bit. Absolutely. Yeah.
But you want to call us predictable? Maybe we are, but you know, we.
Yeah,
I wonder what your first worst one
well,
was or
yeah,
bad.
man. So let's just talk about the word bad there for a second. I mean, what's bad about a McCartney record to you?
What's bad about I I guess if it was rushed and it didn't contain enough of those McCartney type style tracks, whether those
Right.
were ballads or rockers or if or the production maybe wasn't great. And there's not too many of those that are like that. I mean,
No. Right.
how do you come up? I mean, we can rank all the albums, in order of like
Right.
there's aspects of all the albums that we like, even though we
Right.
might say whatever your choice is, whatever my choice is, there are going to be aspects on these albums that we enjoy. But as a collective whole, it's going to be say, if you're going to look at it and say, well, what's the first really bad one, and
Right.
it's kind of, I think it's probably going to, I mean, you know, again, if you're going first bad, so you're going to say everything up until that point was good, and then it was his first bad. So like, how
What's
do you do it?
and it's all subjective. Obviously, I mean, everybody's opinions is going to be different for the most part. A lot of when reading that list, a lot of people, a couple of the people picked Wildlife as his first, you know,
Bad.
bad album. And and maybe if we were doing this back then, and if we were going through real time, you and I, let's say we were 15 or whatever in 1970, and we started collecting McCartney records, maybe we could feel the same way
See,
at that point in time.
time has been kinder to wildlife.
Correct.
That's the
Very
problem.
true. And that is the problem, because we know how bashed it got, when it was first released.
So having said all that, that is my
Wow.
worst. That is my first
First
bad.
bad record. Wow.
Yeah, it's the first bad one. Because
Okay.
and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it, trying to look at it objectively, not as a
Okay.
fan. If I'm looking at it objectively, and it has to be the first bad album. Okay, the highs of McCartney, first solo record. Maybe I'm amazed. Fantastic record. Okay, doubles it up with Ram. Super creative record, professional, more of a band concept. Really, really great record, full of hooks,
Right.
all time classic, as we now know. After those two records, he comes out with his band and eight half baked songs for a brand new album. Low key release after. So I don't know how you don't say wildlife. I mean, other people listen, you could say whatever, but I mean, just looking at it objectively, I think you have to go wildlife for the first
Right.
one. Now listen, we both love wildlife. I mean, there's great songs on it, but
Right.
trying to look at it, I mean, if I don't say wildlife, I mean, we're gonna go up to what, Venus and Mars. I mean, no, maybe I could see Speed of Sound, maybe because it was much more of a band effort and it wasn't so Paul dominated. I mean, what, McCartney 2? I'm sure some people might say,
Maybe.
not you or
Yeah.
I.
No.
So, but for wildlife for me, it was made in a week. Okay,
Right.
it was recorded in 1 week, very quickly. Kind of just let's just throw it together and put it out. And listen, there's some great hooks on this. There's some great songs on here, but looking at it objectively, it's
Right.
mumbo jam, throwaway, bip bop jam, Love is Strange, again cover, Wildlife, great song. Some people never
Hmm.
know, great song. I Am Your Singer, Linda.
Right. Right.
Tomorrow, classic. Dear Friend. So and that's it. I mean, it's a very quick album.
Hmm.
Some of the songs run kind of long. Dear Friend and Some People Never Know are longer songs. So
Right.
listen, I love the record, but if I'm looking at it objectively, it is the first bad one for me.
I, okay, I can understand that approach, and I took a different approach to that. So I took the approach to where, okay, we are in the time we are in now, you know, whether or not that album got bashed when it first got released doesn't matter to me. Okay.
Okay.
None of that stuff matters to me. It matters to me right now how I feel about that album. And there's more songs on that album that I love than my first album that I think is truly bad. And the album that I think truly bad in his career was Pipes of Peace. There's just less songs on it that I think are quality. And as we all know, half of the songs were recorded during Tug of War, and they weren't included in Tug of War because
Of that reason.
of that reason. They were just not that good of songs. Now, is there good songs on this album? Absolutely. It starts off strong with Pipes of Peace. It ends strong with Through Our Love. But then in between those two songs,
Hey, hey, and
you
Tug of
got Hey
Peace.
Hey, Tug of Peace. What is that? You know, you got Dustbin Lid, which I don't mind.
I'll defend
I
that line until
But
my
exactly,
death.
I don't mind, but people out there will destroy that lyric. You got stuff like The Man, which, yeah, I think is okay, but I don't think it's as good as, say.
Oh,
You know,
of course not.
Sweetest Little Show, Average Person are just average songs. You know what I
For
mean?
you.
Yeah, for me. So Bad I think is great.
Well, I know you love that one.
Yeah, say. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it was a number one, U.S. number one. Place of Peace was a UK number one. Say was a UK number two. I mean, so he almost had two number ones in the UK with that song. But that's really it. So I find a bad album as the least amount of songs on an album that I just don't care for, and that's how I rank these albums. So if and when we ever do an album rankings,
Which
you
we
know,
will.
which we'll get to, you know, this might fall at the bottom for I don't know. You know what I mean? So I think I think Pipes of Peace is his first bad album because there's, more bad songs on it. I mean, yes, you got George Martin, but I mean George Martin can't save these mediocre songs. That's why
No,
they weren't
no.
on Tug of
Yeah.
War. So, but so saying that, I mean, for me, Tug of War. I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry,
Pipes of peace.
Pipes of Peace. I always got to say something screwy every episode.
um,
Um, so yeah, I mean, that's how I look at it. It just depends, how many songs on it do I dislike compared to how many songs I like, and I
right.
and I truly like more songs on Wildlife, even though
Then you
there's less songs
then pipes of peace.
than Pipes of Peace. Yes.
Did you have any others you were floating out there thinking about going with, or no? Was it always going to be pipes of peace?
Well, you did mention Speed of Sound, but I didn't want to include that because you had so many other songs from the others. I want to try to keep it to a true McCartney record. You know what I mean?
Right. Not so much of other people
Other
on it.
people on there because
Right.
that's easy. I mean, that's an
Oh,
easy
okay. There's only 5 full songs, so that's the weakest
exactly.
one. Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? You
Yeah.
could easily say Speed of Sound is the worst McCartney record because you have the least amount of McCartney vocals on there.
Yeah.
So but yeah, but I love McCartney too. If we would but again, if we did this 20 years ago, McCartney 2 probably would have been, you
The
know,
the
what
first
I would have considered the first
the
bad,
first bad one.
you know.
Yeah.
So
It
obviously
would have been interesting,
changes.
20 years ago if we had done this before,
Right.
the last 20 years of his career have been so prolific.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If we were to assess Paul McCartney's career, say up until 2000, and then have this conversation, how does it change?
Well, it changes because, our last great will probably be the same, Flaming Pie.
Right.
His last good then would have been
Flowers,
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 absolutely, and first bad would probably still be
still been pipes of peace, and still would
pipes
have
of
been more
peace.
wildlife for me. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's so
Yeah,
I always like to look at that kind of post 2000 as a line of demarcation for him. Really,
yeah.
after Linda, it's just how, for me, it's just how I objectively view his career
Hmm.
in 2 phases, with Linda and
Yeah,
without Linda.
and the people that are younger than us out there too. I mean, I would like to know how their thought process on that
Yeah,
would
because
be
they're
as
younger,
well.
so they probably just
Exactly.
they don't
Yeah.
they just know the music.
Right. Right. And they don't, care whether or not these albums got banned or bashed when they first came out. You know what I
No,
mean?
because they
Because
either they don't know, or they're just
right,
listening to the music because then they're experiencing the music, the natural way, and they're making their own judgments on it, which is
right,
that's good to hear.
right.
People like Hudson and all of our other friends out there.
So let's just keep this going a little bit. Well, I mean, what would be? I mean, so since Wildlife is his first bad record for you, what would be the second one then in your
Uh,
mind?
if we're not gonna count Speed of Sound based on your rule, it's too easy. I guess after that, I would just say probably Broad Street or Press to Play.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
probably Broad Street or Press to Play. Maybe not counting Broad Street since it was a compilation slash soundtrack. If we're just talking straight up
right.
album, I'd say Press to Play.
I would. I mean, that's
I
before we
can't.
did.
I cannot put in any other. I can't. I cannot put any of the Wings albums in there other than
Right,
Wildlife. I can't put
right.
McCartney Tug of
Yeah,
War. I personally can't put Pipes of Peace because I love
yeah.
that record.
I,
I even love Hey Hey.
right. I mean, I could probably see myself putting, off the ground as then as second, you know, bad record in my opinion.
Over press to play.
Over Press to Play, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's some press songs on Press to Play that I truly love. Good Times Coming, Footprints,
Right.
Press, So, but then, production or whatever. So it doesn't
Yeah. So
matter.
you'd go off the ground. Which I'm
Yeah.
not. Which I'm not surprised. I actually was kind of thinking that might have been the one that you chose initially. You'll skip the '70s, skip the '80s, go right to
Right. Go
1992.
right back
Bam.
to But then again, I don't want to be predictable either, you know what I mean?
No, no, I did not think you were going to pick Pipes of Peace.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, the more we've when we ranked it, I think that's when I really came to mind, listening to all those songs again and just being very underwhelmed, you know, not really enjoying them maybe as I may have enjoyed them, 20 years ago, you know.
Right.
So, and I just again, I just you think of a song like Hey Hey and the three people on that song,
And that's
you know
what
what I
they
mean?
made.
And that's what they made.
I know, I know, I know. But it has its fans.
No, yeah. I mean, I love that
Stanley,
middle part,
yeah,
the middle section of it,
yeah.
when
Sounds
it
like,
when it kind of like slows down, it gets a little more jazzy, I think,
yeah, a little jazzy, but sounds like a
right.
game show.
Right.
Stanley Clark on
But
that? You think it's Stanley
yeah,
Clark on that one?
Gadd and Clark and
Yeah,
McCartney,
I
but
mean,
that down, 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 I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
stand.
yeah. But the middle bit is good.
Mm,
I'm telling you, it sounds like a game show.
yes, love it.
That part is good.
That part is good.
Oh man,
So, but yeah, I mean, there's different ways. I guess there's,
there's different ways you can look at it. Kudos for UCR for coming up with that
yeah,
kind of topic of and of course they picked Paul, right?
right,
They picked Paul to do that.
yeah.
Which
Let me then ask you one more. I mean, is Band on the Run the first masterpiece
yes.
over Ram?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
Ram,
Ram. I
Ram
agree.
first, Ram
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was even one person that picked the first album as the first bad because in a way, let's say maybe Amaze is not on McCartney.
Okay.
It's not, I think that album is
Oh yeah,
considered
come
a
on.
classic.
If that song's not on there, forget about it.
Right. Yeah.
We're
I
running
I,
off. We're
I
running
agree.
off into the jungle with Karina Croret for another 8 minutes.
But I would have probably said that would have been the first bad record because I mean, you got half
Oh,
songs on there. You got like unfinished. It's
you got fragments,
yeah,
some half
exactly.
finished things, and a
Right.
couple of nice
Ad
good.
libs that aren't really that
Right.
good.
Okay. You got a couple of good ones like with Junk and Every Night, but
Yeah. Yeah.
those are the only two songs. Everything else is kind of just
Right.
thrown
Teddy
together.
Boy a little bit
Little
too, but
bit. Man, we was lonely, but
yeah.
definitely maybe I'm amazed is why
Yeah.
that record is remembered for what it is.
Right.
But that could have been if that wasn't on there, of course.
Yeah.
Again, it's all perspective and timing is everything. I get John Landau said 1971 of his review of Ram that it was the Nadar of popular music.
Right.
And I'd love to I know he's retracted that statement,
Right.
but especially now here we are 50 years later.
Right.
Got people doing Ram tributes. I mean, there were people paying tribute to Ram even before
Right.
this Ram on thing. There was one called Pure McCartney going back
Mm,
about 10 years ago, where a band did the whole thing of Ram again. So
mm-hmm.
it's it's nice to see now that here we are 50 years later and it's getting its
It's
praise. I
due.
mean, it's
Yeah.
due, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're almost 10 years on now from when it got the archive treatment in 2012, which is really when it went.
Yeah. Is that
That
crazy?
when that was 2012, that one came out.
9 years ago already since that
That's
release.
I unrem- that seems like yesterday. Pun included. Um but yeah, I guess so. It's here we are now again and that, and it's all deservedly so.
Yeah, and then I think it was for Tug of War. I think it was the Rolling Stone review labeled it as the album we all knew he could make.
Which one?
Tug of War. I
We all
think it
knew he
was.
could make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as John always
But
used to say, Paul will make a
yeah.
good album when he's scared into it.
But I could argue that that's Ram as well. I mean,
It's
that's
Ram. It's
yeah,
Ram.
it's
It's
Band on the
Man on the
Run, obviously,
Run.
you
It's
know. I mean, the production value alone on Ram is classic. I feel, I mean,
of
it
course.
just sounds like,
Yeah.
A great McCartney record.
It's a great McCartney record, and
It's a great
yeah,
records in general, really.
right. And again, I know we again when we do these things, we try to take the fan aspect out of it. Let's
Yeah.
look at it objectively. Like Band of the Run, we know is a great record. We might be
Right,
tired of it, and it might be the oversaturation of it of the songs and stuff. But if try to look at it objectively, it's
right.
still an all time classic.
Well, absolutely.
We don't
That's
play it.
absolutely,
We don't play it a whole lot, of course, but it's just
yeah.
it's a classic.
I'm fatigued of it, and I just bought my fifth copy of it.
Right, exactly. Only
And so
five, huh?
only five, yeah. So I got to catch up to you. Anyways, but let us out there, everybody watching or listening, let us know what you think is the last great, the last good, and first bad McCartney record. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, please leave it in the comments. If you're listening on any of the audio podcast sites, email us at twolegspodcast at gmail.com and let us know your thoughts on this topic. And yeah, I mean, this was good fun. I had to,
Little fun exercise on
yeah,
when we're recording on a Sunday, which is normally
yeah,
what we do.
easy
So
episode. We're lazing on a Sunday afternoon right now. Just figured we'd get knock one out of the park here, and have
just
some fun.
keep the episodes churning, brother. Just keep them going.
Yeah,
So
won't be a problem, my friend. Won't be a problem.
not at all.
So, but anyways, Andy, what's going on in your world? I mean, tell anything new with the anything but the Beatles show?
Glad you asked. Yeah, I'm going to be recording with Ethan Alexanian one day this week, which, as of this
Okay.
airing, well, hopefully we have already recorded it. We're going to be recording episode number 2
Mm,
because we're doing it once a month. We did the Who album in April, May. We're gonna get this one knocked out, and I will spill the beans and tell everybody what album we're doing. We'll be going to be discussing ELO's 1981 album Time,
okay.
which is kind of like towards the end of their career, really kind of post Out of the Blue, post
Yeah.
Discovery, um, post John Lennon assassination as well, because there's a
Mm,
very thinly veiled tribute song on that record to him called 21st Century Man,
okay.
which a lot of people in the ELO world think is kind of a tribute to John. And I
Mm,
don't know if it is or it's not, but it really sounds like it. So Ethan and I are going to chew the fat on that record, and it's an interesting record. It's like a space time thing going on.
right. Right.
And the single of the album, of course, was "Hold On Tight," um, which is the big hit off of that record. But there's some
Hold on
um,
tight to your dreams, right?
right.
Yeah.
But there's some really great songs on that record that he and I are looking forward to talking about, and that's going to be our second episode of anything but the Beatles.
Very cool. Very cool. Look into that. I mean, obviously, I mean, once you get into the '80s with the ELO, they kind of start falling off the map a little bit.
Yeah, you had
Unfortunately,
time.
unfortunately.
Yeah, you had time in '81, yeah, and then another great follow up actually called "Secret Messages," which came out in '83, which was supposed to
Hmm.
be a double. And that album is just as good as two. After that, they were pretty much done. They did an album in '86 called "Balance of Power," but it was just a contractual thing. It was not
Right.
good. By that point, Jeff Lynne was already making contact with
Right.
George and doing
Right.
all
Right.
getting ready to transition into
Be
producing.
the producer of the producer of at the moment.
Right, Petty, Orbison,
Yes, and
everybody. So
right. McCartney. Yeah.
yeah, ELO has been one of my favorite bands, and Ethan likes early ELO. I like later ELO, so
Mm.
he wasn't familiar with this record, and I've been a fan of it for a long time. So it'll be a nice little chat.
Cool. Excellent. We'll look forward to that. So hopefully that'll be out soon before the end of the month, obviously, since you're doing one once a month.
Yep.
Great. Yeah. So, Talk More Talk will be, by the time this airs, our latest episode will be up as well. And we'll be talking to Fernando Perdomo about the Ram-On CD. So be on the lookout for that. I've done a slew of guest appearances. Um, Recently,
Yeah, you've been all
yeah.
over the place, man. Where? Yeah, tell everybody where you've been.
Well, we took a little bit of break. I did a Ringo Rama episode where we talked about the songs on the Ringo album. I did the Ken Michaels radio show where we talked about it was like this number nine dream.
Yes, I
My
saw
three,
that.
yeah, my three favorite Ringo compositions, my three favorite Ringo drumming moments, and three. What was the other one? I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but I'll think about it. Um, Drumming moments, compositions. Shit. Anyways, albums,
Ah, yeah, that's
top
it.
three Ringo albums. So
Right.
did that. Did another guest spot on a show called Collecting the Beatles. If you go to
Let's.
Facebook, you type in the Garage Door. D''OR. You'll find it there, and I also posted it on our Facebook page. So we had a good time just talking about collecting in general. McCartney collecting. So that was a good time, and I'm sure I'm missing one right now, but you know,
Book of
whatever.
Dano. He's been all over the place.
Yeah,
He's collecting, guest starring on everything. No, that's great.
right.
That's all cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, I don't have a ton of time to do all these things, but every once in a while, I can, you know, put my 2 cents into somebody else's show if they
Yeah,
want. you So, and it was fun, hanging out with other people and getting their thoughts and views on all of these things as well. So, but
absolutely.
yeah,
Busy
absolutely.
dude.
So,
Busy dude.
yeah. So by the time this airs, like Andy said, we will have ranked each of station. The following week, we're going to be going back and ranking all of the tracks, the bonus tracks, the non-album tracks, the hidden tracks. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna rank those, and then
Well,
some
yeah,
point,
right, right,
at
right.
some point, we're gonna cap it off, and we're gonna rank McCartney 3, and we'll
Do
hopefully
we
have some family members with
do we,
us
do
on
we
that.
want to do we want to tell everybody who might be on there with us?
Oh yeah, well yeah, we're gonna look to get Dylan Seavey on, the guy who's done our music. We'll get Ethan Alexanian on, who's done our wonderful thumbnails, and my original co-host David. And then of course you and I, and we're gonna try to
And we're
zip through it.
thinking maybe we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but maybe it
Right.
might be actually on Paul's birthday. We'll see. We're trying
Which
to
will be a
see.
Friday, I believe.
Yes, June 18th. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's way down the line, but
Right.
maybe that's where if schedules can line up that we can do it that way,
Right.
we'll do it that way. If we
And
can't, we can.
what amazing journey it has been to see everybody's involvement in their rankings and their comments, and how much they've enjoyed the rankings, because I mean obviously Andy and I, we've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed going back and re-listening to the tracks, especially tracks that in the past I haven't really cared for, and then seeing if I still don't care for them. Because I love those comments when somebody says, "I haven't listened to this album in decades, and I popped it in." You know what I mean? Just for this show.
that's
That's really cool. So
that's
thank you for
cool.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
because
you for
then
that.
we're talking about something and we're giving you a chance to go listen to something. Hey,
Right.
thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll end it next month. I mean, it's been a crazy journey. You know,
November, December, January, February, March, April,
yeah.
May, June. It'll be 8 months of ranking the
Yeah.
tracks. Wow. Wow, 8 months of
Isn't that
recognition.
crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So we'll continue. I mean, we'll probably take a break, maybe a week or two break of the live stuff, and then come back because I've got some other thoughts
We got
that I
some
want to
other
go
things
through with,
cooking.
yeah, other things cooking that Andy and I will put together, and we'll have a good time with that. And so again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Two Legs Podcast, Facebook page again, Two Legs Podcast, YouTube channel. Please, if you haven't checked it out yet, check out our YouTube channel, Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. Check it out. Subscribe if you want to. We're getting close to 600. I think we're like
And
583
we're
at the
free.
moment,
We're
and
free.
we're
We
free.
don't
Yes, so
charge people.
yeah, that's okay. I know why he does it, but anyway, it's just a running joke. But anyways, anyways,
Nothing for free,
um,
right?
nothing for free. Yeah, exactly. Um, but where was I now? But anyways, yeah. So check out the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We really appreciate it. All the new listeners, thank you. Hopefully you guys stick around with us for a while because I mean the shows that I've got planned. I mean it's an endless amount. I mean we've got another I've got another 10 years worth of shows. so Andy, if you got time, stick around and
We got to do a 2 year anniversary show too later this year
Oh, that's right. That's coming up too.
in
It's
October.
coming up to October. That's right. We will definitely do that, my friend. So thank you, Andy. Thank you, everybody out there. I'm Tom. That's Andy, and everybody out there, as always, have a great day and a beautiful night.